Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, back with Armored Warfare. Today I'm going to discuss 5 things I dislike about Armored Warfare. And this is still early on in my playing experience. I think I have roughly 27 hours, maybe 30 hours roughly, of game play experience. Most of that is tier 5 and under, with playing some rentals at tier 7, and most of that being in operations. Only a couple battles and randoms still at this point. So you're talking to a noob about the game Armored Warfare. Some of you have been kind enough to drop some comments, give me some tips, hints, and tricks, which I do greatly appreciate as I learn and figure out the game. So let's start right into it. So the first thing, and I had to dig on like 2 of these 3 things were kind of came to my mind rather quickly. The other 2 I had to really think about it to hit a whole list of 5. But the first thing that I dislike, and this is probably just personal preference. Some of you may find like I don't agree with you, Flimsy, and if that's your case, that's totally fine. But for myself, I feel like the tech tree is kind of a little bit messy, and how the vehicles all, you can go from one, and then all of a sudden your tank breaks out to 3 different tech lines, and you go down this way, yet it connects back into here. And this is probably me just being totally nitpicky. And this isn't one that I felt like I had to dig for. It was just one that I felt kind of weird about. The lower tiers is not too complicated. I think this tech tree is not too bad on this one. But once you start getting to the tier 5, tier 6, it's just kind of weird. You can, be grinding experience and you break off, you go down that way. This one's not bad too much, but it's weird to me how things hop around, that it's not just, just one steady progressive line of, whether you're like a main battle tank or you're a light armored vehicle, or I guess it's technically tank destroyer. But as you're moving around, it just feels weird to me, and how the different vehicles, the different tanks connect and don't connect. So maybe you could say I'm really digging to try to pull that one out, but to me, it was something that I just noticed up front. So for myself, when I've started grinding and playing the game, I've just really been focusing on trying to pick up all the tier 3s first, which I still have a little bit more work to do, and then move on from there, just because I felt like I didn't want to miss something, like get so far down the line and come back. So I'm just really trying to spend as much time as possible still figuring out the game, playing the lower tiers, and how I grind the tech tree and picking things up. But to me, it's tech tree, it feels a little bit messy. It just feels a little bit weird. I mean, maybe I'm saying that from playing some other games with tech trees, but here in Armored Warfare, it just feels a little messy to me. The second thing I would say is the garage window, where we're at now, or your main, I don't even know what to call this. I say garage just because that's where we're at, but the garage. Coming into the game, searching for things isn't immediately intuitive, as it's a bit of a click and guess and figure out things. So after I played multiple games, so let's say after you upgraded some things on your vehicle, on your tank. So let's say you played a tank that you picked up some HE rounds, and then you're wondering, wait, where is that out? How do I mount it? This was the case for myself as a newer player. And it wasn't until I figured out, coming down here and just clicking on this, that's how I navigated and would add the round. So if I drop down to the tier 4, so it was more like, this was the view I had. I'm like, wait, I've upgraded. I've picked up the HE rounds, right? But where is it? I don't know. And then I finally kind of was clicking on guessing. I was like, oh, it's here. Okay, cool. That helps. That makes sense. So some things just not immediately intuitive like that. Click and guess. Of course, that's gonna probably be. You can easily say it's part of your a newer player experience, right? So I do have to give some, I guess, grace, if that's the right word for that, why some of these things aren't immediately intuitive, just because newer player. But some things is really kind of digging around, trying to figure out. I was like, wait, it said I got premium time. Oh, okay, it's over here. Now this one's not too bad to figure out. But some things were just a little strange figuring out at first for myself. So to myself as a newer player, it's just not immediately intuitive because they really throw a lot of different little things here on the screen, and you just kind of guess and figure out, oh, okay, that's what that key does, and so on and so forth. And oh, okay, I go over here to pull up setting support. So some things just not immediately intuitive. But it's not terrible, right? I think the two things I've mentioned so far, they're not terrible things. They're just little bothersome things. Number 3 is bugs in the game. Now, I've only truly experienced one major bug in the game, which I'm actually going to have a funny short on. And if you caught my randoms as my first impressions of playing random battles, I was playing the Leopard 1. It's tier 3 tank, this guy right here. And I've been informed by one of my clanmates that this tank in particular is very bugged in comparison to the other vehicles, because I reversed over a short concrete wall, probably about that high, and then my tank's tracks just like went into it, and then my tank was tilted on the side angle, glitching like crazy. It was actually really funny, but I mean, I couldn't get unstuck, and I just died to the two enemy team players who pushed it on me because like I couldn't do anything. So the bugs is a little frustrating. I've only truly encountered that one bug so far. I don't think I've encountered any other bugs in the game. I'm sure that maybe there are. I mean, of course, this is something typical. Most games will have bugs. But I think this one's, that one with the Leopard was pretty major, and I don't know why it would be that tank in particular. Something with the design, the coding with the tank. So again, it's just another little thing, but I haven't experienced any of those other bugs with any of the other tanks I've played thus far. Just the Leopard 1 thus far. And of course, you can get stuck. If you do a bad maneuver, you go down a hill and hoping a teammate can push you out, that type of thing. But kind of digging for that one. But bugs, and I mean, let me know in the comments if you've been playing Armored Warfare and you've been experiencing some bugs. Just be curious to know if this game is a little more bug prevalent than maybe I think it is. The fourth thing, which maybe it sounds strange to you, is the showing the vehicle and protection system. So here's the model of the tank. And then I go into the armor calculator, armor layout, and it's kind of strange, I guess, when I'm looking at it, being able to see the armor scheme, the armor layout, particularly the armor calculator. And here, at least they give you the options to choose between the different armor operations. But it's kind of strange especially when you're like, you start moving the tank around, and I'm assuming it's the angling, so as I'm showing more side of the tank, it's more easily penetrable, I guess. Maybe again, I'm nitpicking a little bit, but this doesn't feel immediately, it's not intuitive, and I don't, does it show the angle? So if I keep going up, 67, 59, now I'm on top. Definitely going to punch through, and the distance to and from the vehicle. Apparently I can change the rounds around, so no penetration from a 7.62. So I don't know. It feels really strange to me. Like the model rendering like isn't complete. Like when I look at this, it just seems like they meant to do more, but they haven't gotten that far yet. And like trying to make this look nicer, I think this could look a lot better. But to me, it's just a little strange, and I don't care too much for it because I do want to study the armor layouts of the different vehicles to try to wrap my head around where a tank maybe that I might be playing against is more vulnerable, or where chances of shattering or just no penetration at all. So yeah, it's just a little strange to me. Of course, usually the back of a tank always tends to be much more possibility to penetrate. So I don't know, maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't agree with me. The other thing I'd have to say, and this one is probably a little more of a stretch, but it is in regards to playing operations. It's something I dislike, and this is very much so in being a new player who's still figuring out the game. But when I'm playing operations and I'm playing these ones I've played before, particularly these different special operations that are only available, like let's say I think Friday through Sunday, like Caribbean Crisis. You'll see players who have played the game for a lot longer, and they seem very skilled, and they just know where to go on the map with their different tank type, vehicle type, to get the maximum rewards. So a lot of times I find myself, I'm usually the bottom 2, bottom 3 of the team. And I'm just trying, like by the time I get to the action, or all of a sudden there's some, let's say, you're looking off this direction and way down here you had to go deal with some tanks and you kill them, and you're like, okay, is this where they're going to come up next? But psych, it's like all the way down the valley, down the road, and you got to be over here now for the next spawn. So a lot of times I find myself just being a bit annoyed that I'm not able to get more experience, make more of an impact in the different operations. And that just comes with knowing the operation, right? As a player or a person who's going to invest a lot of time in playing the operations and figure these things out, of course, should be rewarded for their knowledge of that operation and game. And so I totally understand that. I totally agree with it. But for me, it's just a little bit of an annoyance as a newer player. And I think that one I had to really dig for. I feel like that one's like the most stretched of the 5 I've shared, just because I want to be contributing to the game. But of course, this is just something that takes time. The more time I play the operations, the more likely I'm going to be able to begin increasing my positioning as a competitive player when you're dealing with the PvE combat missions and stuff. But for now, it's a little bit of an annoyance, and I'm probably a little more critical, maybe even to myself, just because I'm a good player on World of Warships, and I tend to perform overall really well most games, not all the time. So when you start off a new game, it's kind of like I'm picking up from scratch and being a noob. So totally embracing the noob and learning about that. So these are just my 5 things as a newer player to the game that I dislike so far about Armored Warfare. Maybe there's something else that comes along the way that would remove one of those things out of my top 5. But so far, which I can link this video, the 5 things that I do like about the game, to me, greatly outweigh my dislikes of the game. Because overall, I'm really enjoying playing Armored Warfare so far with the time I have invested. As it's quite nice, mostly investing my time into the operations, so I feel like I get a bit better handle on things, and then contribute more in random battles, playing against players, because I don't want to be a detriment to my team. I want to be able to help make a notable impact on the game. So for now, I have to spend a little more time in operations as I figure those things out. So that's my list of 5 things I dislike so far about Armored Warfare. Let me know how you're enjoying the game, or maybe there's some things you don't like about the game. And I'm really curious to know about the bugs, if there's more bugs than just that one Leopard 1 game that I had that was super glitched. So just let me know down in the comments. But if you liked today's video, please consider giving a thumb up. If you did not, give a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you subscribe, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time. Take care.